This is a very dangerous video to make, so strap on. So, as you know, iRacing charges quite a lot to use their service. They charge a monthly payment. Their DLC prices are like 3 or 4 pieces of content elsewhere. The game is graphically dated. It doesn't feel or drive as good as any other sims. With the prices being something really central and with problems raised every so often, including now with the GTP cars, why do they keep doing it and why do they charge so much? Well, the answer is simple and will surprise you, so come close, listen closely. The reason why iRacing keeps doing this despite all the problems is, it's because they can, and if they couldn't, they wouldn't. You listened correctly, and I could finish the video here, but let's explain it for a bit, so if you enjoy hot takes, press like and subscribe. Just recently, iRacing has been in hot water again regarding their new GTP driving models, where these cars are way too fast everywhere. They have too much grip, too much speed, an unrealistic hybrid model they haven't fixed for years, and so on. Jimmy Broadbent has a really excellent video about this topic, check it out in the description, but this is really not the first time iRacing received criticism like this. In reality, even before COVID, there's been almost a yearly situation where the tire model or the driving model gets under fire. A couple of years ago, it was Grassgate, where the drivers cooled the tires over the grass. You remember that? It was quite funny. And this is of course not counting the laughable netcode in higher ping or the user interface and the aging graphical engine that still runs like sand inside an engine. These issues come and go or stay, and even some underlying problems stay unfixed, but no matter the criticism or the problems with the driving model, iRacing seems to stay relatively unscathed from this. It is kind of strange, right? Well, it is, until you understand that iRacing isn't really a sim. Yes, this is another hot take. iRacing has a sim, but the sim plays only a certain part of this. And if you talk about the sim aspect, iRacing isn't just a sim. It's about 3 sims in reality, a road sim, an oval sim, and a dirt racing sim. But first and foremost, iRacing is not a sim. iRacing is a service. Because it is a service, everything else will fall in line more or less. The physics issues are temporary or secondary because while it may have issues with physics, and it has many, the service part only has gotten better, and you are not really paying for the sim or just a sim, you are paying for the service where the sim is attached as part of the experience. So let's imagine you're a new driver. When you come into iRacing, iRacing offers you a bunch of ways to progress your pretend race car career. You can choose roads, oval, or dirt. You progress through multiple series, and that's just the racing part. It offers a process, something to be engaged with beyond the sim part. Behind it, there is a service that offers races every 15 minutes, 1 or 2 hours. Then you have special events, special races, and the protest system to tie everything together. So, in this context, iRacing took a good look at the competition, and this was their reaction. Since there isn't any real competitor to directly attack their business model, they are able to keep the prices and DLC policy. Competition generally lowers prices, and the current level of competition is only able to keep it more or less stable. There are of course other systems that bring something like this or were made to be similar to iRacing and even for free, but iRacers are happy enough with the system that generally they won't feel the need to change. In reality, iRacing numbers have just grown. The drivers might experiment elsewhere sometimes, but at the end of the day, they stay around or come back. Furthermore, and I think this is often forgotten, iRacing was really the first to explore this type of service. The competition were unable, or even worse, unwilling to bring something similar for over a decade, giving the keys to iRacing and allowing iRacing to solidify its position as the premier sim racing service, and by virtue of being attached to the service for so long, without any really competition, the sim inside iRacing became also the premier sim racing title. Even below the surface, everything is just NASCAR 2003. This unwillingness and a decade of head start the competition gave iRacing is one of the many reasons, but probably the most important reason, that iRacing is not going anywhere, and it is very unlikely they will get dislodged unless some sort of seismic event comes around. We have to remember that iRacing is 15 years old now, and in that time, without any real competition, drivers have created their own habits, spent a load of money on it, and changing those already ingrained habits of using a sim racing platform that does pretty much everything they want, has a user ecosystem and a culture around it, has a large amount of different content and different disciplines to then go to another platform, either that be integrated in the game or third party. It's really a tall ask. iRacing, while comparatively costly, is convenience, and it works. And convenience and reliability beats almost everything else, even if there's a price tag attached to it. So, question for the comments below: how many of you are using daily your CDs attached to hi-fi systems or vinyls or even FLAC files instead of Spotify or any other streaming service? Are you paying for that streaming system when there are really free options? So, while other sims may have a better tire model or physics model or whatever, it is totally irrelevant because physics do not beat convenience, and iRacing has, in reality, good enough physics to be considered a sim. So, that more advanced sim that has a tire model that is calculated a billion times a second might be impressive, at least in paper, but the truth of the matter is, nobody cares. Sorry for being this blunt. If being advanced mattered, R-Factor 2, which I'm told it's really advanced and I have no reason to believe otherwise, they would be the top dog and everyone would play it, right? But how it is, even the 4-time Formula 1 champion casts aspersions on it. iRacing tire model during Corona, for example, got a lot of flack from pro drivers, and it's still around because, once again, iRacing isn't really a sim. iRacing does these prices, they do what they want because they can. Everybody else gave them the keys to do that, and the competition is really nowhere close, and the current crop of racing titles are unlikely to do anything relevant because they are either too narrow in scope on what they offer, or they are too dispersed and require a third-party solution which adds a small layer of complication, while iRacing, as for it the fact, it's just iRacing. There's no iRacing 2, or even iRacing Vengeance Underground, or iRacing Evo Ultimate. It's just iRacing. There's no need to buy another title to get another piece of content. If the sim gets new drivers or graphics or features, there's no need to buy a new game. And once again, buying a new game means more complication, and being simple beats being complicated. Low resistance, integrated, simple solutions will always win. So, if there's any hope to have some sort of competition to iRacing to lower prices, Assetto Corsa Evo may bring it, and I say may because I don't know. It will have definitely plentiful of content and multiple classes, and apparently an integrated schedule system via SimGrid. If that synergy is good enough or not, it remains to be seen, and you really need a good synergy to beat established spending habits. So, for those of you that are hopeful that the new title is going to dislodge iRacing because the new title has better physics or graphics, sorry to be a cynic, I'd urge you to understand what makes a driver stay in iRacing. Sunk cost fallacy only goes so much, but most stay because they are perfectly content with the system. It does what it wants it to do, and physics are perfectly adequate to what they want from the system, which has a competition scheduler with a good number of competitive drivers in it and a path. A better sim with less to offer won't cut it for most besides the novelty factor. Physics become irrelevant when they are good enough. Every other developer seems to be falling into the make perfect the enemy of good trap, when iRacing brings experience first. iRacing would need massively to screw up or sleep at the wheel beyond those GTPs to make any sort of permanent damage. In short, if developers want to have a bite of that market that iRacing has, they need to deliver more than just a sim. They need to deliver a reason for everyone to stick around, because physics aren't enough, and we are already way past physics really being important. If you enjoy my cynicism as much as I enjoy driving everything that isn't iRacing, press subscribe.